Ladies and gentle gamers, we are back on the Hypixel Alpha because a ton of new things just got added with the mining update again. So we've got some new things coming out besides what we've previously seen. So let's jump straight into it. Smash the like button, subscribe, and let's go. Alright, so we're going to go straight to the hub and check and see what we've got. I don't think it kept everything from our previous adventures into here, so it's just going to be everything we have on the main server. So let's see what Centauri has for us. He has a lot of new toys. As you can see, of course, we've got the Devon's drill, all the stuff that's currently in the game, you know, everything we've seen previously. All of the fossils are here though, so we can grab ourselves a couple of each of these. And I'm going to go ahead and grab 2 of everything because I think we'll need it. And a ton of Chyme that we can use to level up our pets as well. Because there are, I believe, 8 new pets that they have added to the game. They also added to where you can just grab the Pendant of Devon and the new Dwarven's hand warmers, as well as the portable campfire and all of the new perfect and flawless gems as well. But we are going to go ahead and max our Heart of the Mountain XP, which to get to tier 8, it is 210,000 XP now. So they've changed the rates a lot. It's a lot harder to get here. And then to get to tier 9, it's 290,000. And to get to tier 10, it is 400,000. So you're going to need like almost, I think it's 900,000 total XP to get all the way up from level 7 to tier 10. It's pretty wild, but that's not all that they added. You can see they added Peak of the Mountain as well, which gives you extra glaciite powder when mining glaciite, but it does cost 1 million glaciite powder to get. But let's go ahead and grab some extra powder from this. And I went ahead and got 40 million glaciite powder here. Let's see what it does for us. So we can pay 1 million to get this buff that we already talked about. And then the second buff is 10% chance for glaciite mine shafts to spawn, so that's a lot higher chance. It is 1.2 million glaciite powder, but, you know, I think that's probably worth it. And then the last one is 2 extra tokens of the mountain for 1.5 million glaciite powder. So to go from tier 7 Peak of the Mountain to tier 10, it's going to be 3.7 million glaciite powder. But I think it'll be worth it in the long run. And if we fully reset our Heart of the Mountain here, let's see what our max tokens are. So we now have 25 tokens of the mountain. So you now get the daily grind buff, which looks to be pretty nice. It's not crazy expensive to max. And it gives extra glaciite powder and extra mithril and gemstone powder. And yeah, we're at level 60 and it's only costing 1,000 glaciite powder. So this is definitely going to be really good to get early on. Very helpful. Also, daily powder does work for all powder types. So glaciite powder is included in that apparently. At least according to the lore, we'll double check if that's true or not. But again, that one's not too expensive to max either. So that's pretty nice. Let's see if they updated this one, because this right here used to cost an insane amount, and it looks like it still does. Once you get up to the top tiers, it's 700,000 plus to max this. So this perk alone costs upwards of 33 million glaciite powder, which is insane for one perk. So personally, I'm really hoping that they change this, because I feel like one extra drop from frozen corpses isn't that crazy of a buff to be this ridiculously expensive. So I think a lot of these need some changes, but hopefully it's now a lot easier to get powder. We'll test it out and see, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a difference. Powder grinding with glaciite is just going to be a pain no matter what. Anyways, let's warp over there and find out. You can see there are some new pets here that are already shown. They require donating specific footprints to Dr. Stone, so we'll come back to these here in a moment. So I'm guessing the Helix isn't going to do anything different. It'll just be for Ammonite pet specifically. Nothing new for that. But let's find out, shall we? So like the last time, you talked to Dr. Stone and we'll bring her all of these fossils, and she should unlock the ability to forge them for us. Which, if you don't know how to acquire the fossils from the regular game, make sure to check out my last video on this alpha, because I went over all of that in the last one. So we give her a footprint fossil, a clubbed fossil, claw fossil, webbed fossil, the helix fossil, spine fossil, the ugly fossil, and the tusk fossil. And now let's go see which one unlocked which. So we unlocked T-Rex pet first, then the Ankylosaurus. The helix one didn't unlock a new one, unfortunately, but the penguin pet got unlocked, and then Spinosaurus, goblin pet, and a mammoth pet. So let's warp to the forge and check and see what all these are about. So we now have them unlocked in the forge. All you need is a flawless specific type of gemstone plus the fossils for them, And we'll go over their different perks here in a moment. They're all pretty goated from what I've seen, except maybe the Goblin. He seems kind of mid, but hey, he's a Goblin. What did we expect? But we're going to need 2 Onyxes, 2 Aquamarines, an Amber, and an Opal. And for the Mole Pet, you only need the Claw Fossil and 300,000 coins. So we'll go ahead and start forging one of those. Grab our Flawlesses from Centauri, and then warp back to the forge. Now we have our Mole Pet, and we can make T-Rex, Spinosaurus, Goblin, Ankylosaurus, Penguin, and Mammoth. So first, let's take a look at the first 2, which is the Mole. That's the first one you'll unlock, most likely. It's the cheapest one to make, at least. Increases your chance of finding scavenged items in the mines of Devon. Gains a chance for Professor Robot to ask for 1 less part and gain an extra % chance to receive an extra drop when completing the Crystal Nucleus. So that is with this pet at level 1. So let's grab ourselves a bit of Chyme and see if we can level this guy up at a decent pace. So we'll equip the Mole, which he looks pretty cool, you know? I mean, it's a very unique design. Go ahead and give him a ton of this. I think we can just spam right click him with it, or we could actually do, you know, a short little cheat here. I happen to have some ultimate carrot candies on me. It'll look ugly, but it'll get the job done. All right, feed him 10, gets him to level 94, and there we go. Mole Pet at level 100. Let's take a look at his perks now. So he gives 100 intelligence and 75 mining speed. His first perk is Archaeologist, which at level 100 increases your chance of finding scavenged items in the mines of Devon by 25%. So basically what it looks like, this guy is a mining pet. He's going to be used for Crystal Nucleus runs. That's pretty much his only use. But it's a pretty substantial one, because if you get especially this Blind as a Mole perk to proc on the Robotron Reflector, then you can get away with not spending 500,000 coins per run just on a Robotron Reflector. So that'll help out a lot. Plus, you'll have an extra chance to drop some extra things. This doesn't increase your chances of dropping an alloy, unfortunately, but it does increase your chances of getting a Quick Claw and Devon Fragments, things like that. So it's still very useful. Definitely going to be a good pet for Nucleus runs, but not really much use for it other than that. Now let's talk about the T-Rex. So this is him at level 1, 0.75 strength, 0.05% crit chance, and 0.25 ferocity. He has 3 perks: Close Combat, Ferocious Roar, and Tyrant, so he deals more damage to enemies but from 1.5 blocks away. Attacks have a 0.1% chance to stun the target, and stats are granted by pet items on this pet are increased by 1%. So I'm not sure if that stun is going to be useful on Slayers. If it works on Slayers, that could be very, very nice. And especially the stats granted by pet items. This might be the one time when actually having the Reaper Gem. This might be the one time the Reaper Gem is useful. But honestly, the Antique Remedies might not be bad on it either. But Minus Relic with the Ferocity perk on this will probably be the best. But that's it at level 1. Let's crank him up to level 100. He does look pretty cool as well. I mean, the red looks very clean. He's got kind of the same design as a G-Drag as far as where his eyes are placed. And you can see his nose from the front. So from the front, he just looks like some kind of animatronic from Five Nights at Freddy's or something. But it's definitely a cool looking pet. Of course, I doubt any of these things are going to max or, you know, like beat a Golden Dragon in combat or anything like that. But I'm really not sure how the 1.5x perk is going to go either, because realistically it's going to be very difficult to get that close to a mob without having a Dwarf Turtle Shellman on, and that's going to neglect a lot of the damage from this pet. I respect the memes, you know, he's got short arms, so he only deals a good amount of damage from close range, but I don't think he's going to be super useful, honestly, just because of that. But there he is. He's level 100 now. Check out his perks. Deal double damage to enemies within 1.5 blocks. That is a lot of damage, but it is going to be very difficult to get that close. Stats granted by pet items on this pet are increased by 100%, and attacks have a 10% chance to stun the target. So 100% stat boost is pretty substantial, but we are in our mage setup right now. You know, I'm not going to swap for this, but let's just take a look with a billion coin G-Drag real quick. Let's add that into our list of things we have here. So let's test out the T-Rex first. So we're going to be running T-Rex level 100 first, and we'll give him an Antique Remedies just to see how that does. But from 1.5 blocks away, we'll use a Withered Daedalus Axe. We do 123,000, 123,000, 123,000. But you can hear the ferocity procs on it are pretty nice. He does have 25 ferocity, so that is a pretty substantial number. Well, let's swap it over to the golden dragon, and it's 155, so it's still much better than the T-Rex would be. There's a chance that if you are doing those ferocity, it could be really nice for DPS from very close range. I could definitely see T-Rex being used on like a Slayer boss, but again, a lot of the damage that it has is going to be neglected simply because you'll need a Shelmet to be able to get that close to the mob. But if it's still a decent amount of damage, I mean, 100% more damage to enemies is a significant amount. I just don't think it's going to beat out the Golden Dragon, even with all that ferocity. But you know what? We're on the alpha. Why don't we test it ourselves? So I'm just going to spawn a tier 5 Revenant here. First one we'll do with the G-Drag, and second one we'll do with the T-Rex pet, and just see how it goes. But again, I'm not expecting anything too crazy to happen here. I'm not going to lie. I highly doubt that it's going to beat out G-Drag, at least without a Shelmet, but we'll see. Alright, so this is the boss with G-Drag. Let's see how long it takes us to take him down. And it was 10 seconds to kill it, which I'm not sweating here. I just want a good number. But 10 seconds isn't too bad. We'll swap the T-Rex now. And this, again, is without Shelmet, and then we'll see if we can get somebody to give us a Shelmet. Alright, so now is the boss with T-Rex. Which, again, it's a lot of ferocity. But let's see how the numbers compare. I can already tell it's much slower. Yeah, that was 12.3 seconds, which again, it's not too much slower, but I think G-Drag still beats it out. Plus, if you're doing Slayers, realistically, you are going to want that extra magic find, which T-Rex does not have. So I think it's safe to say G-Drag is still the meta, but T-Rex is probably better than Lion Pet. Let's just take a look. So T-Rex, 273,000. 273, 279. Let's swap it over to the Lion Pet, which let me go ahead and get him up to level 100 real quick. There we are. Get our stacks up. 287. 287. So T-Rex was 278. So yeah, Lion's actually still better, but again, for DPS, T-Rex should do more because of that extra ferocity. So it's good. Better at DPS than Lion, but G-Drag's still on top. Well, let's check out these other pets. Maybe there's another one that actually stands out a little bit higher than the T-Rex. Next up is the Mammoth. So the Mammoth has defense and cold resistance. Gain extra chance for mobs to not inflict cold when damaging you in the Glaciite mine shafts. Gain extra magic find for every 100 mining fortune, doubled in the tunnels and mine shafts. And gain mining fortune for each frozen corpse looted in your current Glaciite mine shaft. So this guy seems to be the meta for grinding out the Glaciite mine shafts. Gives some extra magic find and some cold resistance. Plus, they did change the way that the mine shafts work now. So the corpse and excavator loot tables have been greatly changed. And when mining in the tunnels, you'll have a chance to get a portal that will send you to any of about 20 different mine shafts. The ore that you're actively mining affects the types of mine shaft you'll get. So if you're mining ruby gemstones, then you have a higher chance of getting a ruby mine shaft. If you're mining onyx, a higher chance of getting an onyx mine shaft, etc. So if a certain gem makes the most whenever this drops on the main server, then you'll probably want to mine that type of gem specifically whenever you're looking for mine shafts. They also added 2 new fairy souls to the mine shafts. So, well, they say they added 2 new fairy souls, so I'm guessing that's to the mine shafts. Let's actually double check that. Maybe it's in the Dwarven Mines themselves. There are 2 in the Dwarven Mines that I don't have, but I think that's been bugged for me for a little bit. There is 1 in the Glaciite mine shafts. So it looks like 1 in the mine shafts, 1 in the Dwarven Mines. So it's probably in the base area somewhere, but it could very well be in the tunnels. Anyways, there's the Mammoth. He is max level, so he gives 100% chance for mobs to not inflict cold. So basically, you don't take cold damage from mobs anymore in the mine shafts. He gives 10 cold resistance and 50 defense, 0.5 magic find for every 100 mining fortune. So if I put on my full mining setup here, which would be this gear and this drill, we currently get 1100 mining fortune, which I think you can get much higher than that, especially with the new stuff. That basically means we should have only like 5 magic find, which really is not that much. 5.5, something like that. So it's not a substantial amount of magic find, to be honest, but it is doubled in the mine shafts. So 10 or 11, you know, it's more magic find than no magic find, so I will take it. Anyways, it's a good pet. Looks like it'll be the meta for Glaciite, and it's nice to see that all of these guys have different places in the game, but they don't seem to be like super game breaking. It's just like QOL pets that are pretty nice. They're really, really nice. I mean, doing nucleus runs without a mole pet now will be like so much worse than doing it with them. So you're not going to want to do them unless you have this pet, which is a good sign that it's a good pet. Let's grab our next pet, the Spinosaurus. And after that, we've only got 3 left to go. But the Spinosaurus is a sea creature pet. So it gives extra fishing speed and sea creature chance. Sea creatures spawned with 0.1% of their maximum health missing. You gain extra magic find against sea creatures, and during rain increases the pet's base stats and stats granted by perks by 0.8%. So it looks like this guy may end up being the meta for magic find while doing sea creatures. Although that is me saying that without, you know, having used a mythic flying fish at all as well. So also currently with the way pet rules work, if it doesn't beat G-Dragon magic find against sea creatures, it's kind of going to be pretty bad. I'm not going to lie. With the current pet rules, you can have your highest fishing speed / sea creature chance pet activated, and then you can swap it over to squid whenever you kill the mob, so you get the squid's extra fishing wisdom, and then you can swap it over to your magic find pet and get the magic find on all of the drops. So unless this pet beats the G-Drag in magic find against sea creatures, I don't know if it'll be that usable on that front, but I'm sure it'll be the best pet during the rain, no doubt. And who knows, maybe they patch the way those auto pets work. That's not out of the question either. But there he is, level 100. Let's take a look. He gives 8 sea creature chance at base, which if you put a washed up souvenir on him, it'll be 13. 25 fishing speed. Sea creatures spawn with 15% of their max health missing. Gain 8 magic find against sea creatures. And during the rain, increases this pet's base stats and stats granted by perks by 75%. So while it's raining, it is going to be a decent amount of fishing speed and sea creature chance more. But again, I doubt this is going to beat G-Drag. So this seems to be more of an early game fishing thing as well, because, you know, on the Crimson Isles where late game fishing is, it doesn't even rain. So this seems to be like a pretty early game thing. But again, I don't think it's going to beat Ammonite Pet, I'll be honest. Ammonite Pet is just so insane for sea creature chance and for fishing speed if you have a decent mining or fishing level, that I highly doubt it's going to be able to beat it. So this pet does seem to be kind of mid, I'm not going to lie. The Spinosaurus part, I mean, the Sharp Attitude part could be pretty nice for spawning Jobuses, but generally you don't have a problem killing those too much, I'll be honest. You generally have a group, and even if you don't have a group, as long as there's somebody on the island who's able to help kill them with you, that 15% health missing isn't really going to matter, I'm going to be honest. So this pet, not very good. But let's go ahead and grab our next one and see if it's a little bit better. Highly doubt it though. It's the Goblin. At the very least, this will be a decent amount of Skyblock XP to claim. So, you know, none of these pets are really that bad. It's extra Skyblock XP, but at the same time, it's another pet that if you're going for max Skyblock XP, you got to get him to level 100, so it's going to be a bit of a grind. But the Goblin pet gives speed and crit chance, increases the coins obtained from Goblin coin bags by 0.5%. This is at level 1. And the King Scent potion effect lasts longer and increases the chance of finding rare Goblin eggs. So this one might not be bad for powder grinding. If you're grinding in the Goblin's Den, maybe you get some blue Goblin eggs a bit more often. But I don't think that King Scent thing is going to matter too much. It'll be nice for nucleus runs, but you'll just have to remember to swap to that every now and then go back to your mole pet. Let's get him up to level 100 and see how good these perks really are. He also has a pretty cool design. It's not the same as the Goblin helmet, which I actually really like. I'm glad they're putting a little bit of difference in there. If it would have just been a copy paste, it would have been kind of meh. But at the same time, I'm kind of disappointed that this pet isn't actually just straight up dropped from goblins. I think I would have liked that more, especially considering how mediocre it is. It would kind of make sense. But at the same time, I already maxed Goblin Bestiary, so glad I don't have to go back and grind more of those. But this would have been good to have while I was maxing that Bestiary because of the extra coins perk. But yeah, I don't think this thing's going to be very useful at all. It'll be good for nucleus runs again, but other than that, doesn't seem like it'll have any use. But maybe the level 100 perks like scale super crazily, so let's just take a look at it real quick. There he is, level 100. Increases the coins obtained from Goblin coin bags by 50%, so it's not even 100% buff. The King Scent does last twice as long, which is good. And the 50% buff on rare Goblin eggs, that may be really nice. So again, powder grinding, it has some potential. But realistically, if you're powder grinding, you're not really going for money right then and there. You're going to be going for powder. So you'll probably use Mithril Golem or Skatha for that extra powder buff. So I don't really see this guy being used that much, I'll be honest. Next up, the Ankylosaurus. This guy is a combat pet. He's got 1.5 health, 0.5 defense. He gives true defense as well. Gains extra defense or a percentage of your defense as strength. increases the effectiveness of Last Stand and Lifeline, which could be crazy for Kudra. Every 5th hit deals 0.5% of your final damage to enemies within 5 blocks. Enemies hit deal 10% less damage for 10 seconds. So this guy looks like the meta for Kudra. If you've got a Lifeline setup, you're grinding T5 Kudras, this man is going to be kind of goated. But that's only at level 1. Let's see what he's like at level 100. All right, there he is, level 100. He gets 150 health, 50 defense, 15 true defense, 15% of your defense as strength, increases the effectiveness of Last Stand and Lifeline by 50%, which is crazy. And every 5th hit deals 50% of your final damage to enemies within 5 blocks. Enemies hit deal 10% less damage for 10 seconds. So this guy is 100% going to be the GOAT for Kudra, at least for the last stage. So maybe set up an auto pet rule for your Reaper swaps if you do that, to swap to this guy, because 50% extra damage on Lifeline is insane. Lifeline is already busted, so upgrading it even more is going to be kind of broken. I don't have a Lifeline set. I got a Dominant set because I wanted my set to be good for when Primal Dragons comes out. But with this buff on Last Stand and Lifeline, that's going to be kind of insane. So I may have to swap over for this one because that is broken. All right, our last pet is the Penguin pet. Is another fishing pet, which he seems to be made especially with the Glaciite tunnels in mind, because each time you catch a sea creature, it reduces your cold. The fishing speed reduction from being underground is reduced, and you gain extra fishing speed while in the Glaciite tunnels. So I'm curious if they're going to make it so you can catch Yetis in the Glaciite tunnels year round, or if they'll add new sea creatures to that section, which I wouldn't be surprised either way. But we'll check our sea creature guide here in a moment. Let's get this guy to level 100 first. All right, there he is, level 100. Let's see how he looks. 30% sea creature chance. Okay, this officially beats the Ammonite. My Ammonite with a washed up souvenir on it is 20%. So this guy is super good for early game fishing then. 75 fishing speed while in Glaciite tunnels. Fishing speed reduction for being underground is reduced by 100%. So he's got the same perk as Ammonite on that front. And each time you catch a sea creature, reduces your cold by 6. So looks like he'll be pretty useful. But let's just see real quick if they added any sea creatures to the underwater areas, the Glaciite areas. I do not see anything new. Everything here seems to be the same. There are no sea creatures here that I have never killed, so I'm not sure what the thought process on this one was. It's a very good early game pet, don't get me wrong. If you're looking for sea creature chance, this is the guy that you want to go to. The extra fishing speed is pretty nice. 75 is a substantial amount, but again, if there's no like sea creatures down here, I don't know. I guess they just wanted people to fish down here for no other reason than just because, which reducing that cold is going to be pretty nice for if you're in a mine shaft and there's water there and you're trying to do that. I'm guessing you can fish in that area. But yeah, I don't see like there's any crazy water areas to fish in inside the main tunnels. I thought I had found a spot in the alpha last week. I can't remember where it was, but I'm pretty sure there's a spot that you can fish in, or at least there was a spot with some water, but it looked like you would have to use auger rod to actually fish there effectively. But anyways, I'm just theory crafting. Let's jump into the mine shafts because we got some stuff to go over there. The fastest way to get one, by the way, is actually just mining regular stone, but I'm not sure what type of portal is most likely to spawn if you're mining stone, because again, it's supposed to be the same as previous. And by the way, if you decide to leave the mine shaft early, that is an extra 1,000 glaciite powder that you can get. So that may be the best way to grind powder, honestly. It's literally just find a tunnel by mining with the regular stone and then just doing that. But let's swap to our mammoth. He's got the extra cold resistance perk. Now let's see what we got. So these guys, the lapis ones, I didn't know this last time, they are free. They are free chests, so you can click those without a key. We can see we got a goblin egg, some onyx gemstones, some fine peridot, a ton of powder, and some more goblin eggs and more gemstones. So nothing too crazy there. Let's take a look around and see if we can find another one. Apparently there is a skeleton type of corpse that you can find. I did like 3 hours of corpse grinding and I could not find one. So I don't know what the odds on that are, but they don't seem to be super high. But this is the tungsten corpse, or the mineral corpse, whichever way you want to call it. But it looks like it's got a lot better gear. So we got only fine stuff from that, plus a citrine crystal, which is pretty nice. We did get a bonus drop because we have the Heart of the Mountain perk that gives bonus drops, as you saw earlier. But oh, and we got another one. So this guy, you have to use either a tungsten key or the skeleton key. So we'll go ahead and open him up. We got a glaciite amalgamation. Dang, that is actually really good. And a ton of powder. Okay, They buffed these guys substantially, which again, I was talking about how bad the powder grinding is going to be earlier, but if they buffed these guys by that much, that's actually wild. We got 23,000 glaciite powder from one corpse. So again, keys are pretty expensive, but that was pretty substantial as far as drops go. But we will go ahead and head out of the glaciite mine shaft here. Click the exit, and there we go. We got our glaciite powder, which, by the way, this glaciite amalgamation, it's pretty pricey. Requires 128 enchanted glaciite and 8 fine gemstones of all the new types. So it's basically the new version of the gemstone mixture, but it's more expensive. So that's a pretty good drop from that. But again, if we were doing this in the main game, it would have cost us a tungsten key, which is 1 refined tungsten and bejeweled handles. So bejeweled handles on the main server are about 600k. The refined tungsten is going to be really expensive to start with probably, but if it drops down to about the same price as refined mineral, it's still going to be over 600k, or even refined titanium 800k. So these keys are probably going to cost well over 1 million coins a piece. So if you're using them, you're going to want good drops. So we got some decent ones from that last one. The one before it, it's kind of mid, but hopefully that citrine crystal would have paid for it. But a glaciite amalgamation, that probably pays for a decent amount of it. Plus 23,000 gemstone powder is no small amount. Let's try a few more and see if we get anything substantial. But again, if you aren't planning on sticking around inside of those mine shafts, this is the best way to do it. Basically, just run around. Probably it would be better with our mineral set. So we'll swap to that. And I can't tell actually if it's proccing or not. It doesn't seem to be. I think that may just be our other perks activating, but there we go. We got a tunnel. Swap back to our Devon set. And then we can drop back in. See what we get. So this one is an Umber, which hopefully will cost less. I don't know. Umber might end up being the more expensive one of the tungsten and Umber ones, but we'll see. We got a lot worse drops from that, I think. I mean, that's a decent amount of powder. It's better than that first time that we got the tungsten. The first tungsten corpse was pretty horrible, but who knows. Anyways, it does look like we can actually fish here. So let's grab our fishing rod and see if that is an option. I mine all of this out. No, I actually can't. That is all ice, so there's no water there. Cannot fish. So I'm not sure if they intended for you to be able to fish in the tunnels or not. Or I mean in the mine shafts. Maybe there is a spot in the tunnels that I missed this time around. But it seems very strange to have that as the goal. But here's another tungsten. We got a glaciite jewel and some pretty mid drops again. So I'd say out of those two, I would have rather have gotten the Umber for sure. So it's hard to say if Umber is actually better than the tungsten, but I think Umber is intended to be better. Again, not 100% certain, but these are definitely the worst ones. They're free. We got a decent amount of powder out of that one, so that's pretty nice. Well, let's go ahead and head over to a different mine shaft, shall we? Do a little bit more testing, and then we'll call it quits. By the way, you could find crystals in the new areas. You know, you could just literally find them the way you can find them in the Dwarven Mines or in the Crystal Hollows. I mean, you just walk into a room and they're there. Basically, there is a 10% chance now for if you get one of the newer crystal areas, then it will be a crystal version. So basically, if I get a Jasper crystal mine shaft, there's a 90% chance it will not have a crystal in it and a 10% chance that there will be a crystal. So it's not a super high chance now. It used to be 50-50, so they were a lot more common. So they nerfed it down to 10%. So it's a lot worse, but holy, that was a really good one. Tungsten was crazy that time. Refined Umber, a Peridot crystal, another glaciite amalgamation. So that was a lot better. Let's try this Umber one. Okay, glaciite jewel. I don't know. They might be the same, honestly. It might be the same loot pool because those two seemed equally. I mean, I don't know. The tungsten was a lot better on that one, but like the last run, the Umber was way, way better. So it's hard to say which one has a better loot pool if their loot pools are split at all, because it's looking a lot like they seem to be the same. So unfortunately the free ones do not have the same loot pool, but the Umber and tungsten seem to be the same loot pool. Let's do one more for good measure. Honestly, I'm kind of already addicted to this. I can't wait for this to come out on main server. Doing these tunnels is so fun on alpha. I'm probably not going to like it as much on the main server because I don't think it'll be profitable to open these corpses, at least not for a long time, but it'll be worth it for the powder. That'll be the main reason people will do it. What in the world? You see that? Oh, that was the keen eye block. So that block glows and that's because of the perk we have in our Heart of the Mountain, so we get extra glaciite powder for mining that block. I forgot about that. Here's another free one. It's got an enchanted Umbra in it, very mid as usual, and another free one, also very mid. I mean, that's a decent amount of glaciite powder actually, but other than that, pretty mid. But I can definitely tell this mammoth is helping us to stay in here a lot longer. The last time I was on alpha, I felt a lot more rushed, but having this mammoth pet definitely makes us able to spend a little bit more time being thorough with looking for these corpses, and just doesn't feel like as much of an anxious rush to get this over with before we have to go. So definitely like that. 100% gonna want one of these if you're planning on doing this grind. Oh wow, a third free one in this same tunnel. That's actually wild. Got a red goblin egg out of that one. Definitely mid. All right, well, we can't end on that one. We've definitely got to do one more now. Can you guys tell I'm addicted? Actually, they did say that they modified the excavator loot tables. So I think that's just from you mining blocks. Like you could excavate out a suspicious scrap earlier. Apparently there's some other things that you can get. I'm not sure what they are, but apparently I'm too cold to mine quick, so we'll try that again in the next run. All right, last one for real, no matter what. I'm gonna do a little bit of mining first, see if we can get something excavated. If not, I don't care. But you can see our daily powder does work on glaciite powder now, so that is pretty substantial. Definitely going to be helpful in the long run. There's our excavator drop. We got a suspicious scrap just like last time, so I don't know if that's the only drop. Apparently you can get other things. I don't know what though. If you could just straight up get a fossil, that would be kind of cool, Loki. But I don't know. We'll just leave that be for now. See if we can find any corpses in here. There's a tungsten one. Got a bit of powder, some fine drops. Nothing too crazy. And actually I'm out of keys, so I guess that's our last one. All right, well, I stayed up till midnight to record this, so please drop a like. Subscribe. We're on our way to 10,000 subs, and every single subscription helps. I will finally use a texture pack once we get to 10k subs, so please smash that sub button. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I will catch you guys in the next one. Have an amazing rest of your day, and God bless.